Good afternoon. My name is Don Zavis, National Sales Trainer and Sales Coach. I do keynote speaking throughout the United States on revenue development topics, and I'd like to welcome you to this installment of Sales Triage. This particular installment is one that kind of starts us right back in the beginning. And one of the attributes, one of the aspects that we talk about is it's not how you close, it's always how you open. And what that essentially means is that when I talk to clients that are having difficulties in their selling postures or selling situations, if we kind of autopsy back in the relationship, we find where a phrase or a statement or a document or something could have, in one fell swoop, kind of corrected that problem which got dragged out to the end. And one of the ways I like to talk about when we talk about setting appointments is right in the beginning of an appointment. So for those that are writing down notes, I'd like to share this with you. Never beg for an appointment. There are so many times why I do a lot of call sharing with salespeople throughout the country, and I'll kind of listen in on the line when they're talking to prospects and clients, and this is what I hear a lot. I'm going to be in your area. It'll only take me 5 minutes. I want to stop by. Or it's not going to really take long. I'm just going to swing by on this, but it's some diminished version that, really what I'm doing is not that important. It's really not, of that much value to you, so I'm only asking for a little bit of time. The reality is that it really does take a certain amount of time for any of us to do what we need to do. And we need to recognize that. We need to realize, so if what you need to do is going to take an hour, make sure you share with them that it's going to take an hour in order to have true value. That idea of begging for an appointment, and I would encourage you to go even one step farther than the begging. And I want you to actually be invited in to the meeting. So let me share with you what invited in looks like. Because in a lot of times, I don't want to say force ourselves into the meeting, but we kind of force ourselves into the meeting. So we've got a situation and we're looking for dates, we're looking for times, the client's a little bit tenuous, but we keep driving and driving and driving, and ultimately the client acquiesces and we get a date and time. But I will tell you that if they feel forced into that meeting, you're really not going to have the interchange that it really is truly going to be the most beneficial to you. The one that's the most beneficial is one that we're invited in. So after you've had some kind of cursory conversation, could be face-to-face, could be on the telephone, I generally like to use the phraseology, Bob, I think it may make some sense for you to invite me in for a brief meeting. Now, if I invite someone to my home, how am I going to treat them? Or if they invite me to their home, how are they going to treat me? And the answer is I'll be treated like a guest. That's the way I want you to feel when you go to a client's office or you sit down with a client. That is that welcome guest, because if we are problem solvers looking for problems to solve, which is ultimately the direction I'm going to want you to take, then you bring with you the ability to solve their problems. You bring the tools and techniques and the knowledge to make whatever that issue that they're dealing with potentially go away. So when you say, Bob, I think it makes some sense for you to invite me in for a brief meeting, gives you that almost guest-like situation. You're not barging into the meeting, you're not forcing yourself into the meeting. So when you go there, you can set a reasonable expectation to be treated like a guest, for example. If there's something particular that you need, it could be you need to have the leadership of the company, or at the very least, a decision maker. This is a perfect opportunity for you to ask, because again, you're being invited in. So if you were to say, Bob, I appreciate you to invite me in, but for really to make this meeting productive for you, it probably is going to make sense to have, and then maybe go into it. Maybe you already had a conversation, the owner of the company, it might be the controller, it might be some person in leadership that would ultimately benefit from being involved with you. So that idea of being invited in allows you to put, and I hate to use the word demands because it has a negative connotation, but it does allow you to put some caveats to the fact that you're inviting in. The other thing is I want you to do is when you get there, most people it's difficult to move from the small talk into the conversation. And we often talk about the idea that we talk 30% of the time, your prospect or client talks 70% of the time. So when I'm in, we're going to go ahead, we're going to do the small talk, again, relationship, rapport. At some point in time, though, you're going to get the sense that that initial rapport building has been done, and that's the perfect segue to say, you know what, Bob, you were kind enough to invite me in today. Why don't you go first? On the phone, you said you had a concern about the eyeglasses. And that's a perfect way to stage the conversation now where they start talking, and now you can kind of slowly but surely pull information out of them. So when setting appointments, we never ever beg for an appointment. It's never, I only need 5 minutes, I'm only going to be in your area. It does take a certain amount of time, and you must always be invited in. I want to thank you for your attention. My name is Don Zavis, National Sales Trainer and Sales Coach. If you are east of the Mississippi, I encourage you to reach out to us in our Detroit facility, 248-497-5869. If you're west of the Mississippi, you can certainly connect with us at the Tucson phone number, 520-903-4654. And I wish you good selling.